Have you ever wondered what would happen if someone could summon fire-breathing dragons with their mind? 2.5 million years ago, Lyara discovered this terrifying power when her tribe faced total extinction, and the yellow-scaled dragon that emerged would reshape ancient tribal conflicts forever. In the harsh prehistoric world of 2.5 million years ago, where survival meant everything and death lurked behind every shadow, lived Lyara, a 25-year-old woman of the Kareth tribe. She possessed no special status, no shamanic training, no indication that she carried within her bloodline a power that had slumbered for centuries. To everyone around her, including herself, she was simply another member of a struggling community fighting to survive in an unforgiving landscape. The Kareth village had become a target of systematic destruction. 7 times in the past 2 years, the evil Shaman Morgak and his Vorthak warriors had descended upon their peaceful settlement like a plague of locusts. Each attack left fewer survivors, fewer homes, fewer hopes. Morgak was ancient, his shamanic powers honed over decades of conquest and dark rituals. His weathered face bore the scars of countless battles, and his eyes glowed with malevolent wisdom accumulated from destroying dozens of tribes across the prehistoric landscape. What made Morgak truly terrifying was not just his magical abilities, but his methodical approach to conquest. He would strike swiftly, capture the strongest warriors, and leave just enough survivors to rebuild, only to return months later and repeat the cycle. It was psychological warfare at its most cruel, designed to break the spirit long before breaking the body. The Kareth people lived in constant fear, jumping at every sound, scanning the horizon for the dreaded sight of Vorthak war banners. Lyara had lost everything in these attacks. Her parents fell in the 3rd raid, her younger brother disappeared during the 5th assault, and her closest friends were scattered to the winds. Yet something deep within her refused to accept defeat. While others spoke of abandoning their ancestral lands, Lyara felt an inexplicable connection to the sacred ground where her people had lived for generations. She often found herself gazing toward the distant Ember Mountains, feeling a strange pull she couldn't explain. The final attack came on a blood-red dawn when the Vorthak warriors numbered in the hundreds. Morgak had grown tired of his games and decided to end the Kareth tribe once and for all. As smoke rose from burning homes and screams echoed across the valley, Lyara watched her people fall one by one. The survivors huddled in the village center, surrounded by enemy spears, awaiting their inevitable fate. In that moment of absolute desperation, something awakened within Lyara's soul. As she knelt among her dying people, performing what she believed would be their final ritual to honor the spirits of their ancestors, an ancient power stirred in her blood. The shamanic abilities that had been dormant in her lineage for countless generations suddenly blazed to life with the intensity of a wildfire. She felt it first as a burning sensation in her chest, then as a connection that stretched beyond the physical world into realms of magic and mystery. Her consciousness expanded, reaching out across vast distances until it touched something massive and ancient, sleeping in the depths of the Ember Mountains. 2 presences stirred in response to her call, beings of incredible power who had been waiting in their mountain caves for centuries, waiting for their true master to finally awaken. The yellow-scaled dragon was the first to answer. Solarius the Golden, a magnificent creature of pure sunlight and flame, had been dreaming in his crystal cave for over 1,000 years. When Lyara's desperate call reached him, his enormous golden eyes snapped open, and he remembered his purpose. Behind him, his companion Pyraxis the Crimson began to stir, scales glowing like molten lava in the mountain darkness. As the ritual reached its crescendo and Lyara's newly awakened powers surged through her being, the very ground began to tremble. Morgak paused in his victory speech, his ancient instincts warning him that something was terribly wrong. The sky darkened despite the morning sun, and a sound like distant thunder echoed from the direction of the Ember Mountains. Then they appeared, 2 massive shapes silhouetted against the sky, wings spanning wider than the village itself. Solarius descended first, his golden scales blazing like a second sun as he landed behind Lyara with earth-shaking force. The heat radiating from his body turned the morning air into shimmering waves, and his eyes fixed on the Vorthak warriors with predatory intelligence. Pyraxis followed, his crimson form wreathed in flames and smoke as he took position beside his golden companion. Together, the two dragons represented a force that hadn't been seen in the prehistoric world for generations. The return of the dragon shamans, the legendary guardians who had protected the ancient tribes before fading into myth. Morgak's confidence crumbled as he realized he faced not just awakened dragons, but their bonded shaman. His decades of accumulated power suddenly seemed insignificant compared to the primal forces arrayed against him. For the first time in his long life of conquest, the evil shaman knew fear. The battle that followed would be remembered in whispered legends for millennia to come. Lyara, guided by instincts she never knew she possessed, directed her dragons with perfect synchronization. Solarius unleashed torrents of golden flame that turned Vorthak warriors to ash in seconds, while Pyraxis' crimson fire melted their weapons and armor like candle wax. But it was more than just raw power. It was justice given form. Every flame that erupted from the dragons' mouths carried with it the pain of the Kareth people. Every roar echoed the cries of the innocent victims who had suffered under Morgak's cruelty. The evil shaman tried desperately to counter with his dark magic, but his powers were like shadows before the blazing dawn of Lyara's awakened abilities. In the end, Morgak's screams joined those of his warriors as dragonfire consumed them completely. The Vorthak tribe, which had terrorized the region for years, was utterly destroyed, their threat eliminated forever. Where once hundreds of enemy warriors had stood in triumph, now only ash and smoke remained. As the flames died down and silence returned to the valley, Lyara stood transformed. No longer was she simply a survivor of a struggling tribe. She had become something unprecedented in the prehistoric world. The first true dragon shaman in recorded history, bonded to creatures of unimaginable power, destined to reshape the very nature of tribal warfare and protection. The dragons settled beside their new master, their massive forms radiating contentment and loyalty. Solarius nuzzled Lyara gently with his great golden head, while Pyraxis rumbled deep in his throat, a sound of satisfaction and belonging. They had finally found their purpose again after centuries of waiting. If you want to witness more incredible tales of prehistoric supernatural powers that changed the course of ancient history, subscribe to join our journey through the mysteries of human evolution. Hit that like button if this story of dragon awakening amazed you as much as it terrified Morgak's warriors. Tell us in the comments, would you want the power to summon legendary dragons in your darkest hour? The most epic part of this saga is yet to come in our next video, where we'll reveal how Lyara's dragon bond influenced other tribes and what happened when more dragon shamans began to emerge across the prehistoric world. The legend of Lyara the Dragon Caller became the foundation of a new era, proving that sometimes the greatest power lies dormant within us, waiting for the moment when courage and desperation awaken forces beyond imagination.